Hello, hi, thank you for joining me. It must be Sunday. Well, yesterday was pretty amazing out here. Those of you who live in Tucson or close to it, my place is a little bit over 3,000 feet, and I guess I have to become more conscientious and watch the weather report. I had no idea that there might be snow up here, and there was a lot of snow. When I looked out, everything was totally white, and there was accumulation of at least this much snow all over the place. Excuse me. Hey, Krishna, no, off. Krishna, off. Come here. Come here. I don't want you doing that. Come here. Good boy. He was trying to look at a litter pan, which no, is not a good idea. Anyway, so let's get back to the important thing. Yes, I will be telling a story once my mind can focus. You know, some of you know my attention is like, let's see, like a gnat. You know, I see a butterfly and I go, wow, oh, look at that. So anyway, I'm sure you're used to that by now. Anyway, my story today, and don't even try to say that, I will tell you what it is in German. Lueneburger Heide. That translated, it doesn't sound so hard because it's Luneburg Heath. So what does that mean? What is that where all the loonies live? No. So the Luneburger Heide is an area which would be considered the hinterland in northeast Germany, which is Lower Saxony, if you actually want to look this up on a map. And it's between Bremen, where I grew up, Hamburg to the northeast, and Hanover to the southeast. This, I believe, is one of the largest nature preserves in all of Germany. And when I was a little girl, some of you know that my favorite color was and still is purple. Heather is, of course, purple. So when this Luneburger Heide is in bloom, it is absolutely spectacular. And I was lucky enough to go back there, it was about 15 years ago when I was in Bremen. And I happened to be in Bremen a little bit before my birthday. The heather usually blooms, there's sort of this rule of thumb, August the 8th to September the 9th, which is a very rough estimate. But it is an area that is absolutely stunning. And I actually looked some of this up because I did not know this when I went there as a little girl. There is a little mountain, it's the Wildsieder Berg, and it's a little bit over 500 feet. Whoop. Well, you look at where we are. That's the highest point. It is an area of wetlands and bogs and moors, lots of forests, and there are a lot of bees. Obviously, they like the flowers. And then they have these beautiful sheep that are called Heidschnucken. And I love them because they have these huge curly horns like this, and they're black, and then their coats are like a silvery gray. And when a couple of years ago, it looked like I was not going to be able to live here in the desert because of a lung disease that I have, and I purchased property in northern Maine. It was adjacent to what is called Long Pond, which that's what it is, a long pond. My neighbor had almost 120 acres, and I was lucky enough to buy over 40, but I was going to be able to buy more land from him. And I was going to get sheep. There is a breed from Asia called Karakul, and they look a lot like these Heidschnucken. But let me get back to how I saw this the first time. My French grandmother, who was, let me put it this way, a very charming and very sweet lady who had a number of gentleman friends. And that's what she did. Every afternoon she would get ready to go, and then she would be gone most of the night. And I loved her. She lived with us, and I really adored this person. She was just my very favorite. Of course, that's really the only grandmother I ever really got to know. So one year, it was like in the middle of August, she said, "Oh, Aranka," that would be my mother, one of my gentleman friends has invited me to go to the Luneburger Heide. And since the little one's favorite color is purple, and it's blooming in August and September, and it's her birthday in September, I would like to get permission to take her. My gentleman friend has a friend that has a farmhouse adjacent to the Luneburger Heide. And is that okay? And my mother said, of course, that would be lovely. So, oh my God, when she told me that, I had heard about it. Of course, I had never been there because my parents and I never went on any trips or vacation or anything like that. So that was very, very exciting. We first had to meet her gentleman friend at the Bahnhof, which is the railway station, and then we got on the train. And I think, of course, when you're small, everything seems to take a really long time. It seemed to me that we were on that train just for hours. But in the distance, if you look at Bremen and you look at the Luneburger Heide, if you have a car and you drive like a German, let me add that, it would take you about an hour and 15 minutes. Coming from the US, it would probably be more like at least an hour and a half, since you are most likely not want to go quite that fast. But anyway, so it's not far away. When we got to the train station in Luneburg, which that's actually a town on the edge of the Luneburger Heide, then we got on a bus. And finally, when we got off the bus, we had to walk. And I liked this, quote, gentleman friend. He was very sweet. I liked him because he was really tall. He had this big bushy white hair. And he kept holding my hand, and he said, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Do you want me to carry you?" And I said, "Oh no, I'm a big girl. I'm fine." And we ended up to the typical farmhouses in the Luneburger Heide, because there are thousands of sheep. And I believe that in the 1800s, there were something like 700,000 of these Heidschnucken. And I believe that in these days, there are very few people who still breed them. But I think there are like 12,000 maybe. But you have these beautiful, what they call Fachwerkhäuser. Those were the traditional built homes. And the farms had a thatched roof. And I believe that type of architecture is called, and wait, I had to write this down because I wasn't sure. Let me look it up. Yeah, and guess what? Granny can't find it. What the heck is it called? Well, we'll just have to wait because I can't find it. I wrote it down because I actually did not know what that was. Oh, okay. It's called half timber framing. There we go. And so that's the typical house that you saw in the Luneburger Heide, and for that matter, all over northern Germany, all the traditional farms were built like that. And they're very, very charming. When you go in, they always have a huge fireplace. And apparently, Grandma's boyfriend knew somebody who had one of these wonderful houses. And in the backyard, which was just amazing, they also had bees. There were lots of beehives. This was a very sweet couple that lived there. And the lady, when we came in, she said, "Oh, you're so cute. Oh, I heard about you. Oh, please come in. And I heard that you like honey. And we have bees and I baked a cake. Do you know the kind of cake I made? I said, no, I don't. I have no idea. She said, I made a Bienenstichkuchen. Well, that was one of my favorites. A Bienenstich, to translate that, it's a bee sting cake. It's a fairly small cake, no, not very high. It's got a filling of who knows what it is. I don't know, but it's sweet and it's white. And the top of it is covered with slivered almonds and a lot of honey and butter. And oh my God, I used to love that. It was real fun to be there. The people also had these Heidschnucken. I was just over the moon. They happened to have some small Heidschnucken, and I took my grandmother by the side and I said, oh, Oma, can we please take one of those Heidschnucken babies home? I promise I would take good care of it. And she said, oh, I know you would, but no, we can't do that. I just thought that would be the epitome of having one of these beautiful, cuddly sheep. Their coats also were very, very soft. They felt like silk. And of course, you know, who would not like a little baby sheep, especially when you're a little girl and you've got a thing for animals. Anyway, we had a wonderful time. I got to have my Kaffee verkehrt, my hot milk with that little bit of coffee in it. And then they said, okay, now we're going to go walk and we're going to hike into the Luneburger Heide. And it was just stunning. I couldn't believe it. Wherever I looked, it was purple. There was more purple. And then once in a while, you'd see Heidschnucken walking by, and there were beautiful conifers. There were a lot of wetlands. There were bogs, and then all of a sudden, there were these big trees, and I was absolutely over the moon. And the lady where we had been visiting, she said, come here, I want to show you something. And she started to pick a lot of the heather, and she had brought some thread, and she tied it all together. So she made it into, first it was like this long, and then she tied it into a little wreath, and she had a purple velvet ribbon, and she put it on the back, and she said, come here, that's for you. Oh my God, I felt so incredible. I had this beautiful, which of course I didn't see it until we got back to the Bauernhof, but it was the most magical day. These beautiful sheep, these purple flowers, all the bees, the honey. And when we came back, she said to me, you look like you've walked an awful lot for a little girl. Don't you think you could eat another piece of Bienenstichkuchen? And I said, oh yeah, I think I could. So we all went outside and we sat outside, and all of a sudden, a whole bunch of bees came over, and some of them landed on my arm and my hand. And of course, my French grandmother, oh, mon Dieu, mon Dieu. And I said, it's okay, don't be scared. They won't bite me, they like me. And they all just looked at me, and the farmer said to me, you know what? You would really make a good farmer's wife someday. I think when you're older, you should come visit. Because we don't have children, but all of our friends have children. And I'm sure that I could find you a really good husband because you like it out here. And they have Heidschnucken, and then you could have all the Heidschnucken you want. And you could come over here, and my wife can show you how to make buttermilk, because I know you like buttermilk. And she can show you how to make butter, and she can show you how to make cheese. And I understand that you know how to knit, so I would like you to come back and will you knit me a pair of really nice, thick socks out of the Heidschnucken wool? Because we shear them and my wife spins it into wool. But she is too lazy, oh, don't tell her I said that, to knit anything. And I said, yeah, I can do that. I know how to make socks. And he said, yeah, I know. Your grandmother told me. It was one of those magical days as a child that you will never, ever, ever forget. In the evening, we watched the sun go down, and I just thought, oh, this is absolute heaven. I would like to live like this, where you don't look at houses all the time, where you're looking at trees and sheep and flowers. I think I should like to do that. So when we left, I talked to the old farmer and I said, yeah, when I'm old enough, I'll come and you can find somebody that I can marry. But first, I think I want to go see the world. And he said, yeah, that's a good idea. He said, you go see the world and then you come back. And he picked me up. He gave me this big hug. And my grandmother said, okay, it's time. We need to go. It's going to take us so long to get back home. And we're going to be home so late. Your mother is not going to be happy about this. So everybody hugged each other. And the farmer's wife she said, here, I have something for you. She said, it's a big piece of Bienenstich so you don't forget us. She had it in this little bag. The little net, the typical nets that they use over there to go to the grocery store. And yes, so just think about this, how many years ago that was, and I can see the farmhouse. I can see all the beautiful flowers and this wonderful smell of all the peat. It was a really magical day. And that is my story for today. Thank you. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Thank you.